the time, so I think we'll get rolling. There's some other hosts on as well, so we'll just keep an eye on that. If you're still having problems, just keep sending a message in the chat, and we'll try and work through that with you. But I think for the sake of time, we should probably get ready and get going to blast off. So thank you for joining this webinar today. You're all very welcome, and for those that are watching on demand afterwards and not here live, thank you for tuning in and going through the YouTube and checking these things out. I hope you find it helpful. My name's Wayne Willis. I'm from a company called the Dennett Group. We're an innovation consultancy. I'm joined by my colleagues Rob Lewis and Jamie Del Grosso, who are both on the call. And Jamie will be taking us through today's presentation primarily. And also you can probably see on camera there Martina, who is from business consultancy Winning Moves, who facilitate all of these sessions on behalf of the Growth Hub. So you're all very welcome. Thank you for joining us. So just to start off with, these webinars, for those, I know some of you have been to them before because I recognize some of the names, so welcome back. But for those that don't know, these webinars are by the Humber Growth Hub under their Grow My SME program, which are set up really just to help support businesses and provide advice and guidance on all sorts of different specialist subjects, primarily relating to the topic of digital technology, because that's really what it's all about. ICT for Growth, these fall under, which is all about helping businesses embrace digital technology, understand the capabilities and the technologies and the possibilities that are out there, and what you can do with them. And so these webinars, essentially, lots of different speakers coming in, from all different backgrounds and all different industries, and a Dennett Group are one of those consultants, and we try to cover as much as wide a breadth as possible, really. That's what they're about, just to try and give insight, guidance, a little bit of information, you know, so hopefully you get something from them, and it's helpful. But the webinars are part of really a wider package of support that the Humber Growth Hub offers to help support businesses in the Humber region. And one of those key areas of support is a program called Digital Catalyst, which is a one-to-one hand-holding guidance, really, with experts working with you directly to support you into a digital adoption, understanding your current digital maturity, helping you grow that, and then helping you use that to grow your business and do better things with it, you know, maybe to make more money, to open new revenue streams, to develop new products or services, better customer service, be more cyber secure. The list goes on, and I'm going to talk more in depth about that at the end of the webinar. So if you can stick around for that, and then we can go through some of the specifics of what that's all about, and why you should take part if you're a Humber business. For now, we'll get rolling with the webinar, and today's topic, what are we talking about? Can you? Oh, Jamie's got it. Thank you, Jamie. So we're talking upskilling for digital, which relates nicely to the digital, the message that I was talking about, which is and training a digital ready workforce. Now, this is very much a top level overview, really, of some of the opportunities that are out there, some of the technologies, some of the programs that are available to help you and your business, whether you're 2 strong or 200 strong, it really makes no difference. Embrace some digital technology, and just be better at understanding the capabilities that are out there, so that you can use that as a business as a whole to function and grow and do more things. So we're just going to kind of draw your attention to some of the stuff that's out there, and why that's important, and why really you need to be embracing digital as an organization if you haven't already. Just before we move on, I'll hand over to Jamie. Can I just check, are we cool with the chats and stuff, Jamie? Are we sorted out there with...
Yeah, I think Samantha is going to be rejoining, so we should be okay.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no worries. I just kept seeing the chat box popping up and down. I was like, I'm just talking away. Just people saying, I can't hear you. Hopefully everyone else can hear you. Oh, great. Samantha's back. Brilliant. Welcome back, Samantha. Okay, so I'll hand over to Jamie, and we'll blast off. Jamie, over to you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Just before I get started, Samantha, if you could just drop us a message, let us know you can hear as well, and we'll carry on. So as Wayne said, today we're talking about the idea of upskilling for digital, so training the workforce and looking at how you can use digital within your business. So we'll go through some of the benefits of this and why it's really handy for a business to have and to use, and what that can lead to in the future. But particularly right now, this is a really relevant topic to be covering, because a lot of businesses that would have benefited from digital anyway are kind of forced into a position right now where this is almost the only option for a lot of businesses to move forward and to continue. So throughout today, we're going to talk about kind of the idea of using digital and embracing digital within your business. And then towards the end, we'll actually provide some services that you can use to upskill yourself, upskill your staff, learn some new skills, and roll this out on a company-wide level. So as Wayne mentioned, we are from a company called Udemy Group. So we are an innovation consultancy, and we work with brands all over the world to help them develop new innovation products and strategies. And the way that we do this is through something that we call the 3Ds. So the 3Ds are our core principles for creating innovation. So that is to be disruptive, think differently, and embrace digital. So just before we jump into kind of the main topic of today, I just wanted to focus on that last part of the 3Ds, the embrace digital, and just talk a little bit about the way that digital technology has changed the business landscape and what it means for the future of business. So when we're talking about digital, what we're talking about is the use of physical or virtual technology to aid in a functional operation. So this is what we mean when we say, hear the words hardware or software. We're talking about some form of technology that aids us in the operation of our business or in a function that we need to perform. So to put that into a bit of context and to show how that's changed the business landscape, previously or historically, in order to have a business that grew to significant scale, that maybe had clients across the globe and sort of grew to a significant level, you would need to have something that looked like this. So you would need large infrastructure, you would need lots of people doing lots of different jobs, it'd be quite costly, and you would really need to sort of put some serious investment in order to scale a business up in any meaningful way. Now, there was a benefit to this in the sense that businesses were able to see significant competition sort of on the rise, because it was very hard for a business to get to this scale without being unnoticed. You would be able to see the level of investment and growth happening, so you could always identify your competitors. If we fast forward to today and the businesses that are being developed and created, that same business with that same level of scale may look something like this. So a business is now able to operate almost every function of a business with nothing more than a laptop and a good internet connection. And there is many examples of businesses that we now know, some of the largest brands in the world that are household names, that were actually started with someone who had an idea and a computer. If we look at the idea of Airbnb, which we have probably all heard of, a company that has massively disrupted the hospitality sector. This was actually started by a couple of college students in America who basically had a very large dorm room and realized that some people were struggling with space and to find places to stay. So they basically blew up a lot of air beds, put them in the dorm and rented them out to people who couldn't find accommodation elsewhere, and then realized actually this idea of sharing the space I have could be something big. They put together a website and a basic online business, and now it's a huge global disruptor that's making a lot of money and doing very well. So now it doesn't take the same amount of time or investment to actually create a very substantial business. You can do this with very little cost implications and with some very basic digital skills. And for legacy companies, so existing companies that are, very successful in their marketplace, this actually poses a major threat to them, because not only does it mean more businesses can come into existence, but a business that operates in this way is much harder to spot until it gets to a point where it is already a major disruptor. So this actually makes it a lot harder for legacy businesses to not be disrupted in their marketplace.
Yeah, Jamie, it's just worth adding as well there, in case anyone's on that's from sort of manufacturing or from big infrastructure. Naturally, there's some businesses that need to thrive with infrastructure because they make things, they've got production lines or whatever that might be. But still, the principle of how the business is run can still come down to really Jamie's core point there, which is the functionality, the software that's available through not just laptops, but actually just through our smartphones now, in a way that we can run the infrastructure of the business. So whilst there may be still a physical need for production as such, you can make that smarter and quicker and leaner, and all the bits that go in that tie into that. So it doesn't rule out infrastructure as such, but even if you do need to have that, it makes it smarter, and that's some of the stuff we'll be touching upon. Thanks.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Wayne. And yeah, just to emphasize that point, we're not always talking about the core business function here. So if you are a manufacturer and you make a physical product, that's something that's maybe hard to replicate digitally or impossible to replicate digitally. But all the other facets of your business, so an accounts team, marketing, admin work, all these kind of things can be automated and done very simply, as Wayne said, from a smartphone, from a laptop, which massively reduces overheads and costs. It reduces the size of the space you need. It means that things can be done much more quickly and remotely. And I'd be willing to bet that most people on here who are running businesses or working in businesses may have something like an account software on the phone, or on the laptop. So if something needs to happen, it can happen very quickly just by getting that device out of your pocket and making the change. So it doesn't always particularly relate to the core service of the business, but the business as a whole, and pretty much every business, has an opportunity to automate or to digitize in some way and bring this efficiency in. And then if we look at kind of what's being developed and what this may mean for the future, this kind of funny looking example here is from a system called Google DeepMind. So Google DeepMind is a machine learning computer. So just to explain what that means, everyone's probably heard of the term artificial intelligence. The idea of artificial intelligence is it's simulated intelligence. It isn't actually as smart as it sounds. Essentially, an engineer will create a decision tree and lots of questions and possible answers, and the system will basically spit out the answer it thinks is correct based on the input it's given. So these things are already pre-programmed. It already has all of these potential answers in a database somewhere. All the kind of funny things you can get your home assistant like Alexa to say, someone actually wrote them, they're stored in there. Alexa isn't becoming sentient and talking to you. The idea of machine learning is that this computer can actually determine its own answer, its own solutions based on variables given to it. So in essence, it's able to learn, it's able to come up with its own answers based on certain parameters. So in this example, Google gave Google DeepMind a humanoid figure and basically give it the challenge of getting from point A to point B through an obstacle course in the most efficient way possible. So this machine had never seen the mechanics of a human walking. It had no idea what that looks like. And within 3 hours, through various tests, and some of the failed attempts are actually much more funnier to watch than these ones. But this machine was able to understand and figure out the mechanics of walking, which if we look at how long it takes the average human to understand those mechanics and to master that mechanic of walking, it shows how quick these computers are and are becoming. And if we look at that in the sense of a business and being able to create predictive solutions rather than responsive solutions, so being able to predict things that may happen and things like that, this opens up a whole new world of what digital can actually mean for the business landscape. And another thing worth noting is that these technologies, so these computers, as sort of sci-fi as they may seem, are actually something that we can all access now. So you can actually connect to these computers and run algorithms through them. And there's examples of people, for example, in the stock markets, using these computers and these algorithms to predict what stocks will do and sort of place their stocks in certain places based on those algorithms. So this kind of shows the growth and the future of what this digital use in business could be and what it could do. And to put some sort of numbers behind that, this is a graph from a company called The Emerging Future. So The Emerging Future is a company that looks at technology's place in our lives and how it will impact us in the future. And they did a bit of research where they looked at technology as we have it today, technology in the past, and how we have advanced and developed. Now, in their research, they found that every time there is a significant technological advancement, that acts as almost a snowball effect, and a huge amount of new technology is created from the learnings and the knowledge from that previous technology. So, for example, if we think of a smartphone, when the idea of a smartphone came about, that opened up a whole new world of the idea of apps and this technology in your pocket. And from there, you know, we all know how many people now have smartphones and do pretty much everything they can on the smartphone. There's that saying, there's an app for that. And these things are developing really quickly. But that was as a result of that technology being created in the first place and being released. So every time we create technology, we create a sort of snowball effect of further technology being created. So this company sort of took that and looked at what that would mean over the next 5 years. And they said, based on the trend that we're already seeing, if we follow that, in 5 years, they predicted we will be 32 times more advanced than we are today in terms of our technological development. And then when they looked at that over a longer period of time, over 10 years, they said that would escalate to 1,000 times more advanced. And over 20 years, 1,000,000 times more advanced. So although that seems like a very dramatic curve and a very sort of steep development process, actually, if we look at the technology that we already have today and the way that that has impacted our lives and impacted further technology, it's not too difficult to imagine something like this being realistic. And again, just to put that into a context that we may all recognize, this is the first touchscreen phone, the first iteration of what we all have in our pockets. Now, this was actually released in 1991 by IBM. Now, if we consider how prehistoric almost this looks compared to what we all have nowadays and the technology and the things that we're able to do on our phones, and look at that time period, that is not a huge amount of time considering the amount of advancement that we've seen in that technology. So that's a technology that was released 30 years ago. But now if we look at technology that was released more recently, so for example, virtual reality, the idea of virtual reality has existed for a long time, but commercial virtual reality headsets that everyone can purchase are actually a very new thing to the market and have not been around as long. But already this technology, in the few years it's been on the market, has helped people develop huge amounts of new technology and new things. So this example that we're seeing here.
Sorry, Jamie, can I just stop you there? Peter, can you just mute yourself?
Okay, got it in front of me.
Sorry, there we go. Yeah, so this technology has actually helped us develop new things. So, for example, here we can see an engineering company that is using virtual reality to test and simulate new ideas and new devices. Now, to do this in the real world, to physically create all these different tests and things would be very costly and take a lot of time. Through virtual reality, they're able to do this very quickly and very cheaply, which means in turn that they will probably be able to develop things more quickly and think of new ideas much more easily than they could before. So already in that short space of time, we're seeing huge development and growth because of this technology. And what we can see is that every time a technology is released, that time frame between a technology being released and the next wave being created from it is getting shorter and shorter. So as we go forward in technology, we will just become much more adept at taking the technology that exists today and using it to create the next form of technology. So that's a little bit on kind of the power of digital and why we should all sort of take it seriously. So what we're going to go through now is the effects of digital on a business and kind of what it can mean to you and your business. So by embracing digital properly, it actually allows a business to automate a lot of administrative tasks. And this is actually one of the key reasons that most people look at the idea of digitization. It means that, as we mentioned earlier, you can take a lot of the day-to-day runnings of your business and automate or digitize them to reduce overheads massively. It means you need less staff for each task. It means much more organization, and it means that you can keep your costs low while focusing on bringing money in, which is obviously a winning combination for any business. One of the other major benefits of anything digitized is it allows you to collect data. And data is unbelievably powerful if used in the right way. So by collecting the right data from customers, from operations, we can find ways to make those operations more efficient. We can use that data to make data-driven decisions. So, for example, if we know that a customer coming through a certain channel to our website is less likely to buy than a customer coming through to another channel, then we may start creating pop-up ads and coupon codes for the customer that is slightly less likely to convert, to increase how many leads and how many sales we get through our website. And we can do all that using data and using these metrics that we collect. So it's a really powerful way to actually make predictive decisions about your business and actually automate things further. In general, if things are digitized, you become much more efficient. It saves having to look for documents and files and things like that. It creates a centralized place that you and all your team can access your knowledge and your files as a business. And as a business grows, this is something that, again, saves time, which means it saves costs. So a huge part of scaling up is actually becoming more efficient, becoming more organized. And by converting things to a digital format, it actually allows you to do that much more easily. It allows you to explore new profit models. So right now, there's a lot of businesses that aren't able to operate their core function. They're not able to do as they would normally do, or they may find it more difficult. But by embracing digital technology, we can find new profit models or ways to do this that when we are all able to operate as we intend to and as our core business model should be. These are just additional revenue streams and additional profit models. So, for example, if you are a dance teacher and you're no longer able to put on a dance class, you may be able to create recordings and webinars, which you can charge a subscription fee for, to teach people how to dance. When you are able to do dance classes again, you've now just got an additional revenue stream, an additional way of making money. And you're also safeguarding your business because now you have more revenue streams. Therefore, you aren't kind of putting all your eggs in one basket as such. Something we're all used to now is a decentralized workforce. So a decentralized workforce is a fancy way of saying working at home. So basically, rather than having everyone in an office building, the tools that are around us now allow us to work from home very efficiently. Obviously, there's a great example of this today. You're all watching me through your computer. I'm sat in my living room. But there's tools out there for projects management, for all sorts of things. So you can run a business of even quite a large scale, completely decentralized, which means you don't need to pay for large office spaces. But another benefit to this, and something that I've had conversations with many people about, and it's something they don't realize until it's mentioned to them, is if you are no longer relying on an office space, then you are no longer relying on geography in terms of the people you hire. This means that you are able to find the best people for any job, and it doesn't matter where they are. If the best person to do a particular job for your company is actually living in Barcelona, now that's going to be a major issue if you've got to get them to an office in the Humber area. But if you can do this through digital means, then actually you can have the best people and have a very strong workforce for all the different roles in your business because you've lost that geographic restriction. So beyond cost saving, this actually opens us up to brand new skill sets and finding, high skilled workers in various industries. And also reaching new customers and new markets. So most people use the internet now to find new services. Even if people see things in shops, actually most data shows that people will see something they like and then go and search for it online, look for it on different sites, compare prices, look for reviews. So by embracing digital and creating a strong service online, you're actually able to reach new customers and new markets. Another way of looking at this as well is in terms of payments. If you offer a service that may be quite a costly thing for a lot of people, maybe something that's actually a high value product, then by using digital means you can actually offer alternative payment methods. You could offer different profit models where you may charge a subscription rather than charging a one-off fee. And again, that opens your product up to completely new markets and new customers. And finally, the one we mentioned multiple times is reduce costs. So keep the costs low and help the business grow quicker, and avoid disruption. So if you've got more revenue streams, you basically create a little bit more stability for your business in times of uncertainty, as we're all facing now. So a couple of examples of companies that have done this. Eve is something probably most of you have seen on TV or advertised. Eve essentially sells a memory foam mattress. Now, traditionally, a mattress is something that is very much a physical product that's sold in a physical space. You would go to a shop that had kind of loads of beds and mattresses and do that thing where you awkwardly lay on them and pretend that's enough to determine if it's a good mattress. And that's something that has always been done. However, what Eve recognised is that for a lot of consumers, this was actually a bit of a pain. They didn't actually enjoy this process, and they wanted a much easier way to purchase a mattress. So Eve basically took the idea of buying this mattress, simplified it by not having lots and lots of different options. They kind of just had one or two, and put the whole thing online and included new payment methods. So you could actually pay monthly, or you could pay in different ways. So you could buy a good mattress without having to fork out a load of money in one go. So this basically meant that Eve as a company didn't have a physical space, which meant they had huge cost savings because they didn't have to pay for showrooms, they didn't have to pay for staff to manage those showrooms. They were just managing a website and probably some warehouse somewhere to store everything in, which meant that they could pass these savings on to the customers. So actually they were able to offer products that would match some of the higher end mattresses out there that are at high cost, but able to deliver that same quality at a much lower cost to the consumer, which obviously makes this mattress a much more attractive offer for a lot of people. As I said, there's the new pricing model. So nowadays, a lot of people don't like the idea of one-off payments. Actually, we've become a society where subscription models are the new popular thing. People pay subscription models for just about everything. I saw an advert the other day on Facebook for a subscription to underwear, so you can have new underwear delivered once a month. People love the idea of paying monthly for something because it means there's less money going out of the bank at one time. So Eve put this process in place. They made it something where it wasn't a particular subscription model, but you could pay in monthly installments with 0% interest, all managed through an app or through the website, which made it much more attractive to a lot of people. So they were probably able to sell to certain people that may not have purchased if they had to pay for this product outright, despite the fact that those people, for a lot of other companies, Eve did 0% interest, but for a lot of other companies, you're probably paying interest. So you're probably paying more for that product than you would if you paid outright. But it basically allowed them to appeal to different customers' mentalities and how people like to purchase. And because it was a website, they were able to look at new marketing platforms. So they were able to advertise this in various ways that didn't rely on someone physically going out the house and traveling down to a showroom. And obviously through data collection, they could determine, okay, I've bought a mattress, so in a week I'm going to send you a link to buy our new pillows. So it allowed them to upsell and again make more money from their services and increase their revenue. Which is obviously much more convenient for the customers, which meant there's less hesitation in buying. Another great example is Monzo. So Monzo is an online-only bank. So Monzo doesn't have any branches anywhere. You can't go and visit a Monzo branch. It's run entirely through an app. So just like Eve, this meant that they didn't have any major costs other than digital costs, managing the website and having support teams. So this meant that they were able to pass this saving on. So basically, if you utilize things like an overdraft with Monzo, they have an extremely low rate where no matter how much you go into that overdraft, you will only pay a maximum of £15 back a month, which is much lower than a lot of the high street banks would be charging. And they're only able to do this because the cost to them was so low. They're able to offer new pricing models. So actually they offered this as a free platform. So it was what they call freemium, where it's free to access this platform, but you can pay a subscription fee for additional services and additional benefits. And actually, by having this freemium model, it was basically able to cut out any hesitation. People that weren't sure about the idea of a bank would sign up because it was completely free and it offered much lower costs than a normal bank would. And once they get used to the platform, then they're a much easier consumer to upsell to and get them to buy the services. So it worked really well for them. And because they had low costs, they were able to do that without any major loss to the business. And it attracted a much younger demographic. In fact, Monzo is one of the most popular banks amongst young people because they don't like to speak on the phone. They don't want to go into a branch. Their way of communicating is through a phone or through an app. And this allowed them to manage the money and manage their accounts and even speak to customer services and support in a way that they were comfortable with and that they were accustomed to, which provided a much better user experience for customers because their support team were only focused on dealing with support through an app and speaking to these customers. So actually Monzo is constantly winning awards for its customer service because of this, because they're able to offer great customer service, because that is all they're focused on. They don't have to worry about the other things. They just have to keep the customers happy and make sure the website and the app stays up. And also through data that they collect, they're able to add additional benefits. So a really sort of fun example from Monzo is they actually trialed a system called drunk mode. And the idea was if it recognized that you'd spent a certain amount and most of them were in bars, it would assume that you've probably had a few to drink. And it would allow you to set a limit for drunk mode. So you couldn't spend more than your drunk mode limit once it detected you'd have had a few drinks. And it would only release further funds for things like getting a taxi back home or for a takeaway. So they were able to test these kind of fun features because they collected that data, something that you couldn't do with a standard bank. And through integrations, it's able to connect to things like Xero and other platforms to further automate your accounting and various other things. So how does digital affect the roles of your employees? So by embracing digital, it doesn't mean replacing employees as such. This is one of the big things that comes up. It's, you know, if we use a lot of digital services, do we have to sort of get rid of a lot of our employees? No, actually, using digital can allow your employees to become much more efficient. So rather than spending day to day doing a lot of kind of the admin tasks that need to be done, they can do that much more quickly and actually focus on possibly better uses of that time. So it's a great tool for efficiency and automating sort of the repetitive tasks that they have to do day in, day out. As we all know right now at the moment, it allows for remote working, which can be a huge benefit to employers and employees, and allows us to do that in an efficient way where we are not losing kind of any productivity because someone is not physically in an office. We can use digital tools to manage that process. And it actually allows for better communication as well, because we can use tools to allow us to organize our communication in a much more efficient way than just conversations in an office. And it allows us to go back to them and access things as we need to. And also it means that people are learning new skills, which increases someone's value to an employer or a future employer. So by learning new software, new technologies, if you're an accountant, but you're also very, very adept at Xero, for example, which is sort of one of the most popular account softwares, then you are a much more valuable employee to future employers. Leading nicely on to this. So Xero is a great example of how employees can use digital technology to make the role more efficient. So for a business owner, Xero is great because it allows you to get a great overview of your accounts. It allows you to manage your own accounts if you're a small business without the cost of an accountant. If you're a larger business and you do have accountants, actually this allows them to automate their workflow and actually make time spent doing things like reconciling accounts that could take a long time. It makes it a much quicker process, which allows them to focus on other things. It provides much better insights into what they're doing, which means that they can actually use these insights to inform their job. again, it actually provides new skills for them. And actually you can get an accreditation in Xero, which is recognized by most employers now. And again, it allows you to work from home. So using this platform, you can manage your entire business's accounts on a phone, on an iPad, on a laptop, wherever you are in the world. And it allows you to access large amounts of data in a very concise way. So if you have lots of invoices going in and out, and you have lots of expenses to track, if you're doing this in a more old school way, maybe you're doing this on paper or in an Excel sheet, it can get quite messy to manage that and to find the information you want. A system like this allows you to access that information very quickly, puts it into key metrics, allows you to search. So actually it allows you to deal with large amounts of data very quickly. And another example of technology used for the workforce is communication tools. So we're probably all using them anyway, so I won't go too much into detail on these, but by using these what we call like more conversational communication tools rather than email, for example, we're able to get a much quicker flow of communication. We're able to get things done quite quickly, but in an auditable way. So as most people say, it's much quicker to call someone than it is to send a long email. But then we don't have a log of that. We're not able to go back to that conversation in a week's time. Through these platforms, we're able to speak in a more conversational way, sort of communicate quickly and efficiently, but then we can go back and we can there are auditable platforms. So these are great ways for businesses, especially remote businesses, to operate and to keep themselves organized, share files and whatever they need to, but without having to revert to email, which can actually be something that actually slows us down a little bit. I think I've just gone through all that. So how will this affect your role in the future and future roles? Well, the truth is we're not 100% sure, because as we mentioned earlier, digital is growing so quickly that in 5 years' time, we can't really for sure say what the digital landscape will look like for business or for individuals. But based on the trends that we're seeing and the way that we're developing, one thing that we can say is that there will probably be much less need for office time. And I think this COVID-19 situation has actually sort of amplified this a little bit. But employers are starting to realize that they don't need everyone sat in a large building. Actually, we can do this and grow a business without the need for all this office time. It means people will be able to work much faster and grow much more quickly, either through more efficient use of digital technology to make their jobs more be done more quickly, or to find new revenue streams and to create new services. It will mean that it is a necessity for people to learn new skills. So as we become more of a digital society and business becomes more of a digital landscape, it will actually become more of a necessity that you learn the software associated with your skills or with your industry. So if you are an accountant, it's very unlikely you will get a job that is paper-based or just on Excel. You will need to start learning the technologies and softwares that people are using. And this will sort of be echoed across various different industries and skill sets. But it also means that you'll have better access to jobs or finding employees. So you will be able to, as I said earlier, you won't be restricted by geography. You'll be able to find people that are the best people for that job. And as an employee, it means that you'll have better skill sets to actually find different jobs and jobs further afield, because you can apply for a job that is nowhere near where you live and do that job remotely. So,
yeah, Jamie, can I just jump in before you go any further? So, guys, it's just two things really, 2 points just to make really. First, the what we're talking about at the moment is kind of making the case for this. I mean, we're going to come on to now kind of why, how you can actually look at upskilling and what sort of training and things are available, which we'll come on to in a sec. But really the background of what Jamie's been talking about there is firstly the pressing need to understand the prevalence of digital and the speed that it's increasing, which is vast. It's moving very, very quickly. And as you can see, you know, from the graphs Jamie showed earlier on, the spike is going up very, very quickly. And this is why we're saying we don't even really know what 5 years is going to look like. And if you look back a decade or maybe 15 years, how different was the infrastructure we was using? How different was the world of work? How different was the world of travel and communication and leisure and all the things that we take for granted now? This has all happened right before our eyes, and it's one of those things that you almost don't see it because you're in it. So therefore we need to be recognizing that the importance of this stuff and jumping on top of it, and also recognizing that not only that this is happening, but then the software that's out there, what function that software can play in your day-to-day roles now. So Jamie's touched upon things like account software and collaboration software and the way that we work together and things like that. But actually, there's a plethora of stuff. It goes on. It covers just about everything you can imagine. There's some form of digital link to it. So it's understanding how it affects your role now. And it'd be very interesting for managers out there just to ask that question of your staff, in terms of gauging your own digital maturity, if you like, you know. Almost having a focus meeting and sort of saying, you know, how would this piece of technology influence your role, if you know, whatever their role might be, and kind of say, how could we make it quicker or more efficient, or what piece of technology, you know, just to kind of gauge the digital knowledge that's there and get the kind of juices flowing and get the conversation between the two of you so the company is working as one to understand this stuff. And it's kind of not like a hierarchy of business owners kind of saying, okay, we need to be digital, so you guys better be digital. It becomes more of a collaborative thing. How can we work together to make the job easier or more efficient? Or how can we leverage more profit out of this by using the internet, or whatever that might be? You know, so having that conversation is really important. And one final point, I was thinking about this morning. Traditional trades certainly seem to have a problem grasping some of this stuff, and I've come across this a lot, not just in manufacturing, but if you think of people like plumbers or electricians or mechanics. I can say from my own personal experience, in the last maybe couple of months, I've had visits from all three of those trades, and you know how you just have that random conversation with the work person that comes to your house or whatever. And they were sort of saying things like, you know, this will never, you know, you'll never really get rid of gas boilers because, you know, we just really need it. Or you'll never really do this. Or mechanical say, you'll never really have fully electric cars because, you know, the infrastructure. And they start coming up with all these barriers. I have to say that's the most dangerous way of thinking, because that's simply not true. And those people that think in that way and are not adapting their knowledge, it's not giving up their trade, but it's adapting their trade. And a good example is the electrician that came to fit a light for me. We was asking them to put in a smart sensor so that it could be controlled by the Alexa device. And this chap was completely, you know, looked at me like I was from, you know, 2050 or something, you know. And these traditional trades really need to be adapting to some of this stuff that's out there, and making sure that their job is actually evolving. So it's not that their role will actually just stop tomorrow, but it is going to evolve, and it's happening before their eyes. And so embracing that and understanding that is going to be a key fundamental, and upskilling your knowledge to be to keep in time with the movement of digital is going to be vitally important. I just wanted to make that point. Jamie, thank you.
No, thanks. It was a really good point. And yeah, I think beyond just the actual service that they're offering, people are using digital more for everything. So for example, if you need a plumber, the first thing you're going to do is go on the digital platform, probably Google or a social media thing, and ask for a plumber or search for a plumber. So even just in actually keeping your business up to date with the modern consumer, you know, it is something that needs to be embraced. And, you know, things like as we move towards more of a cashless society, people are using more card payments, more contactless payments, and actually very few people have cash in the pockets. You know, I can't remember the last time I actually paid with something in cash. You know, these trades need to adapt to that and sort of change how they're working. So it's a really, really valid point. So what I'm going to do is just go through some ways that you can upskill yourself and learn some new digital skills, and some great tools and resources to do that for you or for your employees or for anyone. So the first is Google Digital Garage. So this is a service that's put together by Google, and this is essentially a list of courses on just about everything digital. So actually, they've expanded this now to a point where it covers everything from, how to promote your business on social media, all the way up to how to develop your own AI algorithms. So it kind of really covers the entire spectrum. So anyone can access this. And for some of the courses, you can actually get recognized accreditations. So for example, the Google Digital Garage marketing qualifications are actually recognized accreditations that people will actually take notice of. So that's great for adding value to yourself. But for any business, just learning the basics of, how people will find your website, how is it that someone comes across your website in Google? How can you use very basic online tools to save yourself some time and save yourself some money? These are great examples of ways to do it and great courses to take. And the other benefit to this is that this platform is 100% free. So all the courses are completely free courses. Most of them are actually developed by really large companies that we all know that have experts in certain fields. And Google have managed to get kind of all these together for completely free for anyone. So this is a great way to kind of start and to learn regardless of your skill set. Something that's a little bit more focused is Skillshare. So Skillshare is a website that operates in a slightly different way. So rather than having a teacher as such, or someone give you this knowledge, the people on Skillshare are actually people in that field, or people that actually do whatever it is that they're teaching, and then they use their experiences to teach you their skill. So for example, you can find people that are professional designers that are designing websites and things for clients every day, that will actually then share their skill and what they do with you, with experience and with examples of how they do that on a day-to-day. So this is, I found, particularly useful for work-based things. So if you're learning something that potentially you might want to then charge a client money for, let's say, if you're a designer but you want to learn how to develop websites, so you could charge more money by actually developing the websites as well. You can actually go on this platform, learn that skill, but you're probably learning from someone that's taken that exact same journey as you. So it's a great platform. It is something that is a subscription. There is a free version, but I think you're quite limited in the classes you can take, but a great starting point. And you basically pay a monthly fee, and for that fee you can access a huge variety of different classes, and on some fees actually contact the people that have put the course together and ask for their advice and feedback on certain things. So a slightly different way of learning, but depending on what it is you're wishing to learn, this actually could be a much better platform. And finally is Udemy. So Udemy is actually the largest online video course platform. So you can literally find a course for absolutely everything on this. I've found very oddly specific courses sometimes when I'm needing to learn something very specific. And basically with Udemy, you just pay for the course you need. So it operates more of either a specific skill or like a top up on maybe areas that you don't feel as strong in. And you just buy the course for that particular skill. And they tend to be very highly attended courses. So you can actually see reviews and feedback on each of the courses, and they're highly trusted. So if you're looking to learn a very specific skill, and you want to just get something for that one skill and you don't want kind of a wider course, this is probably a really good platform to look at. And if we look offline, so there's actually a huge amount of services and support out there for people that may be at the more kind of beginner level of technology. So if you or your employees or people maybe are at that point where they kind of just feel a little bit lost when it comes to technology in general. We all have family members that will ring us up because they can't get the printer working, or they can't remember what buttons to press on the phone to send a text or whatever. There's a lot of services out there in most areas that you can access. Barclays Digital Eagles is a great example of this. You can go onto the website and you can basically book yourself into the different events that they do. I'm guessing they'll probably be digital events now. but you can basically go in and they'll go over kind of like the basics of digital and the very core principles of what you need to understand and how to use these platforms, just so you can kind of get that foundation in place. And obviously you can kind of link these training resources together. So if you kind of feel a bit lost, you could work with Digital Eagles to get that sort of understanding and that foundation in place, and then progress onto something like Google Garage and learn some of their courses and progress as you need to. Alternatively, you might actually be the one that wants to train others. So you might actually have knowledge of what tools and systems you would like to use in your business, but you basically need to pass that knowledge on to your staff, onto your team, and make sure everyone's operating in the same way. So there is a really good system called Google Classroom. It is initially intended for schools and classrooms, but it works really well for businesses to basically create a knowledge base of courses and things people can access. And of course, it's Google, so it means it's completely free, easy to access, very easy to use. And this is a great way to start, even on a basic level, taking some of that knowledge and putting it in a place that all of your team and future team can access. So if you have potentially an industry-specific software or even a company-specific software that you like to use, and you want all of your team to be adept in using that, you can use this system to essentially build courses on how to do that and how to operate in the way that you want them to operate for your business. And it's a great way to build your own knowledge base. And of course, there is us. So through the program, through the Digital Catalyst program, we can actually offer a little bit more tailored support. So with this webinar, we wanted to kind of create something that would cover people regardless of where they are in that journey. So it might be someone that is actually quite comfortable with digital but kind of wants to learn a little bit more about a specific area. It may be someone that has no idea and wants to know why they would even look at digital. So we kind of tried to create something that covers all bases. But actually we do have much more tailored support to help people with their specific needs. So I will pass this back to Wayne now, who will actually go through some of the support we can offer and something that is a bit more tailored to you and your situation.
Great, thanks Jamie, thanks for taking us through that, really interesting. Just before I inform you on this, if anybody's got any questions, please feel free to fire them over, use the chat box below, or you can even come on camera and speak if you want, if you prefer to. I'm aware that we're giving very top level overviews about this sort of stuff, and everyone's going to have their own circumstances and their own kind of questions or whatever. So, you know, whilst you've got us, feel free to ask away. But just while you're doing that, I'm just going to see if I can skip through this and get control. Here we go. Okay, yeah, so further support. So as I said at the start, the Growth Hub offers a whole plethora of stuff. One of those things are the ICT webinars, which is what you've just attended now. There's so many different topics on this by all different backgrounds and expertise. So really, it's worth checking these out. They're all over the place in terms of what they offer. So just to give you a taste what's coming up. The next couple in December, how to plan an effective business website, part 2. So if you've seen the first one, it's worth jumping on that. If you haven't, then I'm sure they'll recap it at the start. The 14th, how to improve your website user experience, very important. And Google tools for your business, which will probably touch upon some of the stuff that Jamie's just mentioned there in terms of training tools. But if you go to the Grow My SME website, maybe someone can post a link in the chat, actually, that would be a little bit easier. You can see all the full range of webinars, and they cover just about everything you can imagine. But as Jamie touched upon, there's also a very tailored support, which is from the Digital Catalyst program. And this is very much about one-to-one support for businesses. It's completely free. You know, you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain with this sort of thing. But essentially, it's about expert consultants coming in. So it could be somebody from a Denic group, it could be one of us, it could be from any number of one of the other backgrounds that are on. There's all different consultants. And once you've registered for yourself to be part of the program, a consultant will come and work with you to firstly understand your business, understand where you're at now in terms of digital capability, and what your approach to digital is, you know, what your attitude is to it, almost how the business functions around it, and then use that knowledge to then work with you through some form of workshop format on a one-to-one basis to help you define new approaches, whether that's adopting new digital technology, refining what you've already got, giving you new ideas for what a direction you could go in. And then ultimately signposting you to situations where to people that can actually implement this stuff and make it actually happen. So it's not just filling your head with ideas and running off, but actually giving you stuff and then linking you to people that can actually make that thing happen. The whole purpose is obviously to help the business succeed and grow. So just as a general overview, this is kind of the format it takes, so there's a digital maturity benchmarking assessment where we work with you and we look at what you're already doing. This provides us with a good gauge, a good result on kind of where your business is at across different value areas. Then combining that with the conversation that we're having with you during that meeting to understand the business, we then use those results as almost a stimulus for a workshop. And we do it through digital sprints. So these are like quick fire workshops, but different consultants do it in different ways. But ultimately it's one-to-one direct support, and it can be virtual if needs be. And we essentially run a workshop with you using the results we've gotten from the maturity assessment and our conversations to start working through ideas. And it might be ideas to develop new revenue streams. It might be ideas to make it cheaper to run the business. It might be to make it more efficient, to make it more security safe, to put more things in the cloud. The list goes on. We don't really have time to list all of it. It's pretty much anything goes. And ultimately, how does digital apply to it? Then we work up an action plan, and the action plan is, okay, this is your roadmap now from the workshop. This is what we've discovered, and here it is in black and white. Here's some steps that you can be taking. And then, as I say, we start linking you to people that can provide that. So that might be technology providers to actually build, technology or something that we've come up with that we think would be useful. It might be linking you to further training. It might be linking you to funding and grants and things that are out there. It's really open. It's completely bespoke to every single business. In terms of some of the kind of benefits that we're talking about, identifying what technologies will add value, which of them are going to bring an ROI, what's the biggest return on investment? Does it mean different? What's the knock-on effect? Are you going to have to tailor anything by introducing a new piece of technology? How do the different technologies integrate with existing systems? Again, we're not talking about scrapping what you've already doing. We're talking about enhancing it and using digital to make it better or quicker or more efficient or more profitable. And that's kind of what it's all about. I'm just slamming through these, because these lists are far from exhaustive. But, sort of things you might be talking about, we might be looking at the digital marketing and the social media presence, maybe moving operations to the cloud. It might be to introduce an e-commerce element to the business, introducing you to cybersecurity to make sure that you're safer, very important one. Online accounting, maybe it's a CRM system. The list really does go on. In a nutshell, what we're trying to do, we're trying to offer direct one-to-one support to make you more efficient, develop new products, develop a new customer value offer, winning more work, attracting better talent, keeping you more safe. All the things that you would expect essentially as a business owner. What do we want to do? We want to grow. We want to be better. We want to make more money. We want to be safe. We want to make sure we're competitive. What role can digital technology play in that? And that's kind of, that's the point of this. And as you can see there, growth, higher profits, customer experience, all that usual stuff. So as I say, it's completely free of charge. You've got nothing to lose. If you're based in the Humber and you're an SME business, you might as well apply for it. And you can do it through these actions here. Can someone post the Digital Catalyst link in the chat as well? It'll probably be a little bit easier. So there's a telephone number you can ring there, where you can.
I think the link is in the chat. Mark posted it, so it should be that.
Oh, okay, thank you. Sorry, let me just go back because the slides are flipping. So telephone number you can ring there. There's an email address, which is the Winning Moves. These are the people that manage this program, digitalcatalyst@winningmoves.com. Or there's the link. If you go to the Grow My SME website and click on the Digital Catalyst section, you can apply and someone will contact you and they'll link it all together. And there is a link in the chat, which is to the events. Let me just, sorry, I'm just going to do this because, oh God, it's all gone wrong. Here we go. Also, can someone, Rob, can you just launch the poll? So just finally, we've just got a poll, which would be really helpful if you guys would mind just taking 30 seconds just to complete, which just kind of gives us an idea of, if these webinars are useful, if you're getting anything from it, if we need to change the approach or whatever. So any feedback you can give on that would be really helpful. Rob or Jamie, if you can launch that, because I can't see it.
Yeah, it's being launched.
Great.
Sorry, so there's a question there from Samantha, if you want to cover that one, Wayne.
Is the advice that it's free, or is there any support if a company needs to invest in technology? Yeah, so both actually, Samantha. So the advice is free. So the program is ultimately to kind of give you the advice, guide you through it, and get you to a roadmap point of view, which actually gives you outputs that you can actually then take forward. The next step up, so that part is it's about 12 hours of support in total. So that's the free program. After that, we then signpost you to different places to develop that stuff. Now, if you're going to have to build like a system, you know, if it comes out and we decide that you need a new, you know, CRM system or something like that, then obviously that there's a cost to that, because as a business you would be expected to invest in technology. However, to your point, we would also be then looking at what funding opportunities are out there to maybe facilitate that, for that to happen. And there are lots of different funding opportunities out there, particularly via the Growth Hub and the Grow My SME program, to access grants, to upskill to adopt rather digital technology. So the Digital Catalyst program that I'm talking about here, along with the ICT webinars, is part of like multiple areas of support, which also include funding and grants and things like that. So we'll be able to guide you to that stuff, depending what the output of it is. It might be linking you to training. It might be something that you can actually just do in-house yourself and cost you nothing. So it really just depends what comes out. Yeah, so the link's in the chat anyway if you want to apply for that. So sign up to that, and we'll be in contact if it's something that interests you. Samantha, just to your point there's just a list of some of the stuff that's on there: grants and investment, business support, mentoring sessions, webinars, you know, the list goes on. But everything's on the Grow My SME website. So if you just look at that, all of that stuff's there. With that, if there's no further questions, thank you very much for attending. Thank you to Jamie for taking us through this. You'll be able to see lots more webinars, so keep checking them out, and these get recorded as well. I think they go on the Humber Growth Hub YouTube channel, so you can check those out. And thanks very, very much for your attendance today, and we'll see you next time.